Hi, my name's Georgina Thompson and I'm the Assistant Archivist here at the Royal College of Surgeons of England. I've been in role here for about 7 or 8 months and I look after the research room, all of the researchers that we have coming into the college, research inquiries that we receive, as well as looking after the collections that we hold. One of the items that we had digitised by TownsWeb this time round was the London Lock patient histories. The London Lock Hospital was a charitable hospital set up to look after people with venereal diseases who didn't have access to any other medical care. So the hospital catered for men and women, but about 50 years after it was set up, the chaplain proposed that an asylum also be set up linked to the hospital. This would just be for female patients, but as a way of helping to get them back on track in life, basically, and help them to recover from the illness, but also to learn some skills that will hopefully then enable them to get work. So the hospital purchased 2 houses that were sort of very sparsely furnished and decorated, and this became the asylum for these ladies. In order to come into the asylum, you had to have behaved well, basically, in the hospital. You had to show remorse for your circumstances. You had to show an affinity for religious learning. And you had to show a willingness to abide by some pretty strict rules in the asylum. But what we have here are what we call the patient histories, which was, as the women were brought into the asylum, a sort of a biography was taken of them with as much detail as they could furnish. So it's details about where they were born, whether they have any family, what their sort of work history has been, how they had ended up in the situation where they were being treated in the hospital for venereal disease. A lot of the time, this was because the women were working as prostitutes, but this also tells, the stories also explain to us how they got to a position where they were having to work as prostitutes, and be that because, you know, they were taken advantage of, and quite a few of the patient histories show that, you know, they were taken advantage of by men, and the only thing they could do was then to turn to prostitution. But it's a really interesting piece of social history of women that we don't often hear from sort of firsthand. Other areas, you would hear about them sort of, I guess, more salaciously written about in newspapers of the time, and things like that. But this is them telling their story. We can't be entirely sure that all of these are 100% honest. The women, some of them definitely concealed their real identity when they went into the hospital. Some of these stories, the women are sort of enrolled under one name, and then later on in the page it shows that actually it was a different name when they left the asylum. And the aim was for these women either to be reconciled with their families and able to go back, or for them to go into employment. And there are success stories within this. Not all of them are successful. There are some that run away because they don't like how strict the rules are. It's a really interesting piece of social history that is being used, has been used in a project by LSE, into a research project where they've tried to find out more about the women detailed in here, and the families detailed. So the records we have cover 1787 to 1796. The asylum was actually in existence until 1953, at which point it was merged into the NHS. But yeah, really, really great piece of history, and having it digitised just means that access opens up to more people now.